Hi, HVAC professionals, and welcome back to another podcast with me and Madison. I'm Amberlynn.
Hi, Madison.
Hi, Madison. How you doing today?
I'm doing pretty good, Amberlynn. It's a pretty easygoing day here.
Super cool. I'm glad to hear it. Well, guess what? Today we're going to go ahead and talk about check-ins.
Cool. Check-ins are they're really great supplement. They don't really replace reviews, but they're really powerful for local SEO.
For sure. And right now, as we talked about last week on our last podcast, Google reviews are actually down because of the current pandemic, which makes it really difficult for HVAC professionals in the area to get those very needed reviews for their ranking. But luckily, there are other ways that you can go ahead and increase your your reviews and your ranking through our check-in system, if you're with the webmasters in particular. Now, Madison, could you explain a little bit what check-ins are?
Sure. I would say to help you visualize it, just think about your service area on the Google Maps. You can see, the different streets and areas, and then suddenly you start seeing little pins pop up here and there about the places that you serviced and the general areas and the types of services that you provided as well. After a while, one or two might not be that much, but if you continue doing it, you'll start to see dozens of these little pins pop up on the map, and pretty soon, all Google sees is your business serving the community and providing very relevant services for the searches that people are performing. And that's SEO gold for some pretty awesome rankings there.
For sure. I mean, especially with reviews being down, being able to sit there and put your pins on a map and show Google, hey, even though this is going on, we're still out there. We're still doing all these services. That's fantastic.
Oh, yeah. And I think one thing that's really important to stress as well is that most heating and cooling businesses, they don't really know about this sort of technology or really this strategy. So very, very few people are doing it. You could potentially be the only person in your community performing these searches, which is a huge advantage.
For sure. Especially if no one else is doing that, you're going to go ahead and blow your competition out of the water, I would think.
Oh yeah. And that's one of the reasons why we've definitely wrapped it into our services here at the Webmasters.
That's pretty cool. Now, I do want to go ahead and kind of do a walkthrough of how we would do a check-in, because I've seen it put into place, but I've never done a walkthrough myself. So would you be able to kind of give me an example?
Absolutely. I've actually just been working on a guide for how to do this, so I'd love to talk through it. So your basic check-in is usually about a 5-minute process, maybe less once you get used to it. And it's very simple. It all starts at the end of a particular job that you've just finished. So let's say your technician is out there and he's just finished performing repairs on a furnace, or maybe he's completed an AC unit installation. As soon as he is ready to walk out the door, he should take out his phone and snap a quick picture of the area that he's been working on real quick, of the furnace, of the AC unit, whatever it happens to be.
Just on-site pictures?
Yeah. And it's very simple. Phone quality camera is perfect. I would say if you can, snap it in landscape, because that makes for better looking photos when it's uploaded to your website eventually. But more on that in a bit. So after they finish that initial picture, they can walk outside, say bye to the customer. That might be a good moment for them to ask about them submitting a review. That way they know that one is coming. And then they can continue on with the rest of the check-in. So what that looks like, on their phone again still, they're going to pull up a specific URL for their check-ins. I would just say once they look it up the first time, have them bookmark it on their phone so they can, just whip it out first moment when they need to. Then they're going to put in the customer's name and their contact information. That can be any combination of email and or their telephone number. Then after that, they're going to describe the job that they did and upload that picture that they took. Finally, they're going to, let me see here, they're going to tag that particular check-in with the service that they provided, as well as the location, or I should say the city that they're working in, and then finally the location that they're working out of, or the office, I should say, that they're working out of. Now, again, I mumbled a little bit through that, so that sounds a little bit longer than it really is, but it really takes less than 5 minutes to perform at the end of a job, and still, it's a very significant for your SEO.
That sounds actually really super simple to do, especially
Oh, yeah.
if they can do it just at the end of a job. Just go ahead and snap a picture and geotag it. It sounds like it would not even be an inconvenience.
Oh yeah, and for some people who aren't as used to dealing with iPhone setup and dealing with this check-in technology, it can sound very intimidating, but it's incredibly simple. And the more, like, once you actually train your technicians to do it, it's ridiculously easy and fast for them to whip it out at the end of a job.
For sure. Now, I do want to go into why HVAC professionals should use check-ins as much as possible. Now, as we discussed previously, Google reviews are important with ranking, but they're temporarily out of order. So using check-ins is a good way to circumvent that. Now, sorry for the nows, my throat's a little chunky. But you still have your old reviews on Google, so those haven't gone away. It's just the new reviews that are a problem, right?
Yeah, so as we've mentioned in our previous podcast, Google reviews right now, you can submit them, but they don't seem to be uploading to the company GMB profiles. And as a result, that's leading to some speculation whether or not they're going to show up at all. It could just be a delay until Google staff and everybody is back up and running at 100%, or there's a small chance that they may never show up at all. So that's one reason, to invest in some other some other review platforms. But then again, check-ins are one great supplement as well while Google reviews are gone.
Yeah, for sure, because Google's algorithm is still going to look for that geotagged information. And if you have all those pins we discussed earlier, it's going to show that you're still in service and assisting people in your area. So
Yeah. I think in any situation, a business that is showing more activity, or I should say more current activity than anybody else in their community, is automatically, showing that they're they're a choice that Google can be more confident in when choosing who to rank at the top.
yeah, and I was reading it's like some 99% of the competitors in the HVAC field compared to our clients actually aren't using that check-in stuff, right?
Well, if it's even 1% of people who are aware of check-ins at all, it's still fairly cutting edge stuff, enough that most HVAC professionals aren't even aware of it, and even marketing professionals are still researching it and figuring it out. Whereas our particular brand review product, it's already out there and already available, when so many others don't know how to use it yet.
We're ahead of the curve. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Hashtag humble brag.
Right. Well, you got to get that in there every once in a while.
Yeah.
But I think the important thing is that HVAC professionals know they need to use it if they are with us, because what's the point of having the tool and getting all that information, or knowing all this information, if you're not using it?
That's a really good point, Amberlynn, and that's something that we have really striven to communicate with our customers, because we get it. HVAC professionals, they didn't go to marketing school, or they're not very experienced with digital marketing, and it makes sense that it might take a little bit to pick this up. For many, it's an intimidating thing that they might just blow off and not use at all, which would really be a big mistake. It's just such a rare thing, like we mentioned before, that if you actually use it, it's incredible, and the results have really, even among our clients who are brand new, we've seen some really fast results within a matter of months.
For sure. And it's like got a lot of benefits just aside from ranking. Like it's super easy to use. I know it helps start the reviews process, which is critically important, even if they're not going through Google.
That's a very good point, and that's something that we didn't really discuss as much earlier. The check-in process through brand reviews is also, has a two-part use. On the second part, after the check-ins, it's an automated tool for requesting reviews from people. That's why, during the check-in, you're asking for their email and phone, because it's sending out those links to ask for those reviews. And that's invaluable during this time as well, because people aren't asking for reviews as often.
Right. And it does give your customers a level of privacy. So you get the information you need, but not too much information from them. So you can get that review ball rolling.
That's a good point. I actually forgot to mention that earlier. Like when we geotag those locations, it's not like, oh, this is somebody's house. That's privacy invasion. It actually just tags the general area, usually within a couple of blocks, so it maintains their privacy.
Yes. So we cannot stress enough that like using the check-ins and being consistent with like when you go to a job site, go ahead and take that 5 minutes to complete those. It'll really go ahead and expound on those good results for your company and your website.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it looks really great. And sorry, I cut you off.
You're fine. I was going to say super easy, barely an inconvenience.
Yeah, and it looks great on your website too.
For sure. Now, Madison, did you have one big takeaway? The tables have turned.
Oh, I always ask you that. So yeah, I would say it always comes down to consistency. And that's really been the deciding factor for our clients is, do they take the time to fill out these check-ins? It's one of the few things that, like, while we provide them the service, they actually have to do it themselves. And again, it's just 5 minutes, but if you do it after every job, you're getting sometimes hundreds of check-ins throughout the year, which is just, it leads to some explosive growth in rankings.
Agreed, 100%. Unfortunately, you took my consistency one, but I will say my takeaway for you guys is that just because everything's slow right now, marketing does not stop. And this is a great way, even though Google is currently not doing reviews, to still build your marketing online and get people to see your company. So that is my takeaway for you HVAC professionals.
Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
Cool.
I'm used to closing these out. Go ahead.
So I'll close out today. Well, that is all from Madison and I here at HVAC Webmasters. We'll see you next week with another fantastic podcast. Bye, guys.